Intercropping is a clever way to grow more food. Instead of planting just one crop in a field, you plant two or more together. Imagine a field with rows of carrots and onions growing side by side. That's intercropping. This method isn't new. Farmers have used it for centuries to grow more in the same space. It's like fitting more jigsaw pieces into a puzzle. Intercropping isn't just about fitting more plants. It's about choosing plants that help each other. Some plants can repel pests, while others enrich the soil. By carefully choosing your crops, you can create a thriving mini ecosystem in your garden. Intercropping comes with a whole bag of benefits that can transform the way we think about farming and gardening. First, you get more food from the same space, which means higher productivity and efficiency. This is great for farmers and gardeners who want to maximize their yield and make the most out of their land. Second, it helps control pests and diseases naturally, reducing the need for chemical pesticides. Different plants attract different insects, so pests have a harder time taking over and causing damage. It's like having a built-in pest control system that works around the clock. Third, intercropping is fantastic for the soil, improving its health and structure over time. Some plants, like beans, add essential nutrients back into the ground, enriching the soil. This means healthier soil and less need for chemical fertilizers, which is better for the environment. Finally, intercropping helps conserve water, a precious resource in many parts of the world. The different plants create a natural mulch that keeps the soil moist and reduces evaporation. This is especially helpful in areas prone to drought, ensuring that crops can thrive even in challenging conditions. There are several ways to intercrop, each with its own advantages. Row intercropping involves planting alternating rows of different crops. This is a simple method that works well for beginners. Strip intercropping is similar, but the rows are wider. This allows farmers to use machinery for planting and harvesting. Mixed intercropping is the most intensive method, where different crops are planted close together without distinct rows. This maximizes space, but can be challenging to manage. Lastly, there's companion planting. This involves pairing specific plants that benefit each other. For example, planting basil near tomatoes can improve their flavor and deter pests. Section 4, intercropping in action. Let's look at some real-life examples of intercropping, a sustainable agricultural practice that involves growing two or more crops in proximity. A classic combination is the Three Sisters method used by Native Americans, which has been practiced for centuries. Corn, beans, and squash are planted together in a symbiotic relationship that benefits all three plants. The corn stalks provide a natural trellis for the climbing beans, allowing them to reach sunlight. The beans, in turn, fix nitrogen in the soil, enriching it and benefiting the corn and squash. Meanwhile, the squash spreads out on the ground, acting as a living mulch that suppresses weeds and retains soil moisture. Another example of intercropping is planting garlic with tomatoes, a combination that offers mutual benefits. Garlic repels pests that commonly attack tomatoes, providing a natural form of pest control. In return, the tomato plants offer some shade to the garlic, helping to keep the soil cool and moist. It's a win-win situation. In orchards, fruit trees are often intercropped with legumes or cover crops. This practice improves soil fertility, controls weeds, and can even help manage pests. Intercropping is a versatile technique that can be adapted to different climates and crops, making it a valuable tool for sustainable agriculture worldwide. Section 5, Tips for Success. Ready to try intercropping? Here are some tips to get you started. First, choose compatible plants. This means selecting plants that will benefit each other when grown together. Consider their growth habits, nutrient needs, and water requirements. For example, pairing deep-rooted plants with shallow-rooted ones can maximize soil usage. Second, plan your spacing carefully. Proper spacing is crucial to ensure that each plant has enough room to grow and thrive. Give each plant enough room to grow without overcrowding. Overcrowded plants can compete for resources, leading to poor growth. This will ensure they have access to sunlight, water, and nutrients. Adequate spacing also helps in reducing the risk of diseases. Third, monitor your plants regularly. Intercropping requires careful observation. Keep an eye on how your plants are interacting with each other. You may need to adjust your watering, fertilizing, or pest control practices. Each plant may have different needs. so be flexible and attentive. Finally, don't be afraid to experiment. Gardening is as much an art as it is a science. Try different combinations and see what works best in your garden. Every garden is unique, and what works for one may not work for another. With a little practice, you can master the art of intercropping and enjoy a bountiful harvest. Happy gardening!